but I wanted to call this press conference because I think it's incredibly important to highlight the fact that I'm incredibly proud of my prosecutors who once again work with the police department to secure yet another major sort of conviction. Assistant State's Attorney Liz Stock convicted tonight at 6-something this evening Antoine Trent of first-degree murder of Kendrick Brown, conspiracy to murder Kendrick Brown, use of a handgun in a crime of violence, conspiracy to commit murder of William Barrett, use of a handgun in a crime of violence, possession of a firearm under 21. This is a 4 co-defendant case that my prosecutors fought really hard to secure. You have Damian Mickens, who was convicted of conspiracy to murder Kendrick Brown, second-degree murder of William Barrett, conspiracy to murder William Barrett, use of a handgun and the commission of a crime of violence, possession of a firearm under 21. We also convicted Kevin Cleveland, conspiracy to murder Kendrick Brown, conspiracy to murder William Barrett, and finally Jabez Johnson, conspiracy to murder Kendrick Brown, second-degree murder of William Barrett, conspiracy to murder William Barrett, use of a handgun and commission of a crime of violence, first-degree assault, and use of a handgun and the commission of a crime of violence. The dispositions and those sentences will be on October 5th of this year and also December 2nd of this year. This incident took place in October of 2020, and the 100 block of East Patapsco. The victims Brown and Barrett were standing at a bus stop when a group of 4 males approached. Males engaged in conversations and what appeared to be a hand-to-hand transaction, drug transaction. Defendant Trent withdrew his weapon and fired at the victim Brown. Immediately after, all 3 other males in the group withdrew their weapons in broad daylight. The victim Brown fell to the ground and was shot several more times, at least once at close range while on the ground. Victim Barrett fled the area, followed by Defendant Mickens and Defendant Johnson, who fired at him as he ran. At least 30 shots were fired in total from at least 3 different firearms. During this incident, an innocent bystander, the victim, Mr. Nguyen, was driving by in the intersection in a work vehicle, which was struck, causing him to be injured in this crossfire. Again, this once again illustrates the dedication, the commitment, and the service that my prosecutors have and their ability to work with the Baltimore Police Department to secure convictions and ensure that we're focusing on violent individuals. Any questions?
I hate to use this phrase, but it sounded like it was a drug deal gone wrong.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, when you pull out you pull out guns in broad daylight at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and start shooting at 30 rounds, whether it's drug dealing gone bad or whatever it may be, and you're shooting and hitting innocent bystanders, we want to hold you to account. And that's what we did in this case.
So I understand, but it was a drug transaction?
We believe that it was a drug transaction, yes.
Can you talk about the challenges of a multi-defendant case? 4 defendants is a lot. I understand sometimes.
I mean, it is extremely difficult to get a conviction when you have 4 co-defendants. But my prosecutor, who has been in the office for several years, worked really hard to get a conviction and to secure a conviction not against 1, not against 2, but all 4 of the individuals that were responsible. When I said to you at the start of my COVID policies that we were going to focus on violent crime, this is what we meant by going after violent individuals, and I'm happy to say that we've secured that conviction.
All 4 of them will be sentenced in, you said October?
October and December. Any questions?
Will you guys be putting out the spellings of the names later or anything like that?
Yeah, we can give all that to you. I promise. I'll make sure that Zai gives that to you.
Anything on the other case?
Did you have any other questions?
Do you want to comment at all about obviously it's been in the news lately, this really sad situation out of Monroe County, which had a tie to Baltimore,
Yes.
unfortunately. Is there anything you want to say about that?
I mean, the individual that we're talking about, right, that was responsible for the death, the tragic death of that sheriff in Wacomico County. My heart goes out to his family. I send condolences to him and his family. But I want to be very clear, right, because there's a lot of misinformation that is intentionally being perpetuated. My office asked that this individual be held without bail. My office asked that this 17-year-old be held and not sent back to the Department of Juvenile Services, but actually remain in the adult system. My office asked that this individual receive a conviction and a conviction, I tell you that, and we made a recommendation to the court that he receive a 10-year suspended sentence with all but 13 months in jail, which means we requested jail time for this individual. The questions that should be asked, right, is why the court imposed a probation before judgment, which is not a conviction, how and why he wasn't picked up when he violated probation, how he was able to be released when he committed a slew of other crimes in other jurisdictions following this incident, and why my office is being blamed by the Fraternal Order of Police and other news outlets with political agendas. Those are the questions that should be asked.
It seems like this case highlighted some talking points that you brought up before. For example, I mean, obviously you have parole and probation who are involved here, Department of Social Services.
Department of Juvenile Services, yes.
Right. I mean, there's foster care. Is there anything you could say to that effect, just about?
I mean, I'm going to continue to repeat, the same thing that I've been saying and screaming for the past 7 years. The system needs to change. And a number of the incidents that occur, the violent individuals that are repeat violent offenders, have everything to do with state agencies, right? And this idea and concept that my prosecutors who work day in and day out are responsible for the death of a sheriff is ridiculous. And so I'm here to make sure that everybody knows at the end of the day, this was not a result of any sort of recommendation. A prosecutor makes recommendations, right? We secure convictions. We made a request for a conviction. Prosecutors secure convictions. We make recommendations to a judge or to a court to impose a sentence. That was done in this case. But the greater questions is that this individual, even beyond this incident, was let out numerous times. He committed a slew of other incidents. Why, 6 weeks before my election, am I being blamed for the death of this unfortunate death of this sheriff? Any other questions? Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you, guys.